Hey guys, first Regardsman here, and I'll be talking about Space Marine 2 Hotfix patch number 10.2. Now, we've been waiting for this one all week. Saber Interactive, it did say they'd be releasing this by the end of the week, and it is Friday now, and here it finally is. And first thing they say here is, hello Space Marines, a new hotfix is now live on every platform. It fixes critical issues such as the Assault's Ascension perk dealing friendly fire damage, stratagems having more battlefield conditions than listed, and more. Also, the Sniper's Camo Cloak activation cost change, which was initially planned for 11.0, has also been pushed on this update. Read the complete patch notes below. So first up, we have the patch notes reading here. Gameplay and balancing tweaks, heroic chainsword, rebalanced base stats, thank god, reworked its perk, light heavy, heavy combo, now ends with a stomp attack, and all heavy attacks damage increased by 15%. Now, the heroic chainsword was by far the worst heroic weapon in the game. It had a 1 speed, and even though they rebalanced the stat to actually say it had 4+ speed in like the last patch, it actually still had 1 speed in effect. There's like a fake description basically, but they finally fixed that, so thank god. I'll actually take this one for a test run now because I didn't even want to use this one for a bit, guys. I'm gonna be honest. It was just that bad. The heroic chainsword was so awful that it was not worth buying at all or playing with in a build unless you're using like an assault with armor reinforcement or something. So significantly better now, and heavy attack damage increases are always nice, especially for a chainsword, because chainsword has pretty good heavy attack, so great fix here. Next up, we have stratagems. Fix an issue where daily stratagems can have more battlefield conditions than listed. This was one of the most annoying things this entire game. There were moments where you would go into a stratagem and you would just have your character or your class be unable to function at all, or you'd have the increased extremis spawns. I think the one yesterday on Vortex had like 50 plus extremis spawned at times. Absolutely insane. It was kind of nuts how much they actually did there with the extremis spawns and how busted some of these stratagem modifiers were, and some of them felt like damn near uncompletable for a lot of players, especially if you're like new, or even if you're an experienced player. Not everybody is going to have an easy time with all of the hard stratagems, and some of them are definitely harder than others, and some combinations are just simply not okay in this game for like most players, especially stuff like they had with the exfiltration mission the other day where you literally could not complete it because there was no equipment charge. Pretty silly, but now that's finally fixed, thank god. Next perk we have here, or excuse me, not next perk. Next note we have here is Camo Cloak's activation cost. The activation cost of the sniper ability has been changed, and now it works this way. The first 3 uses of Camo Cloak in a row do not take away energy by themselves. The ability consumes energy as before. The 4th activation takes away 5% of energy instantly. Each subsequent one takes away a little more. After the last use, there is a 10-second timer, after which the activation cost again becomes 0. With the right perk setup, you can still do 5 to 6 cloak cancels in a row. Cloak cancel will still be very rewarding to learn and to do, but you won't be able to abuse it endlessly while staying invisible and vulnerable to all enemies. So this was kind of a long time nerf coming, because the Camo Cloak cancel would literally allow you to be invincible the entire game if you inputted it properly. But they've decided to nerf that and not remove it entirely. I actually thought they were going to remove this thing entirely and just have like a base Camo Cloak cost no matter what, and you could not like cancel the cloak whatsoever, but they decided to give it like a bit of a nerf and have like a workaround, which is actually pretty nice because sniper's pretty fun with the Camo Cloak cancel, but it was pretty busted, and using it for like guaranteed bonus headshot damage the entire game while having 2 seconds of invulnerability is kind of insane. Now 4-4 actually mentioned to me that the Camo Cloak cancel, or excuse me, the Emperor's Grace perk can actually get knocked out while you are like going immediately into your cloak. And what I mean by that is, if you use cloak and you get knocked immediately by an enemy, you'll get knocked out of your cloak now in like patch 10.0. So that's pretty insane. I didn't know that for a bit. That did happen in my last run with the last Fusel, but that should be fixed now potentially as well. We'll see, or maybe it's just like a permanent nerf. Either way, pretty good fix here. Now, next up, they have Spawn Director. The number of Chaos Spawns in packs is slightly reduced and now matches Tyranid Warriors. Thank God, because Chaos Spawn are a super cool enemy in this game. I think Chaos Spawn are the best addition to Chaos this game has had pretty much since launch. They are super fun to fight. They have amazing animations for like basically every single melee weapon in the entire game. And the biggest problem with them was that they just spawned like 8 at once. So like if you had 5 or 6 tentacle guys on you at the same time, you could just get stun locked to death, and there was pretty much nothing you could do unless you had no knockback. No knockback was pretty much mandatory against these guys. It was kind of insane how much damage they did and how punishing they were. And it's not that they are like ridiculously hard on their own. They do have harder timings than say like a Tyranid Warrior does, and a lot of people, they struggle to learn all 3 variants at the same time, because unlike Tyranid Warriors, who only have like 2 guys that are a like a variation for the melee guys, like the whip and sword dudes, These guys had the tentacle guys, the black hole dudes, the super buffed up guys, and they all had quite varied attack patterns. So this should be a pretty good change. A lot of people were struggling with Chaos Spawn. They were a little overtuned in terms of spawns, but the actual enemy themselves I think are fine. So I'm totally on board with this change. Next up we have general fixes. Fixed damage for the power backstep attack with the power wave perk is selected for power axe. So basically what this means is after the last update they did a power backstep buff and damage by like 66%. However, in the top row of the power axe tree, if you took the power backstep attack perk that increased the power wave damage radius, you would set back the damage of your power backstep to what it was previously before the buff. So you actually lost damage on your power backstep, which is kind of terrible, which made the top tree not worth taking last patch at all, which kind of sucks, but now it works again. Now you can finally make those proper gunstrike builds on the assault and still get full power backstep damage, because the power backstep is pretty strong in this weapon. Hopefully one day they'll make it so we can use power stance, the block version, but until then, balance and fencing are probably the way to go in the power axe. This is a great change. I'm glad they actually fixed this, because sometimes sabers like skip over stuff like this. Now next here they say improved flame weapons VFX visibility for allies. This is a great change. I'm not sure if this actually affects the texture of the fire effect on the enemies. That's a big problem I've had personally, because let's say if you're burning a chaos spawn and they go into execute, it can actually be kind of hard to tell if they're in like the red state or not, because they don't really change their movement all that much, and the flame effect has such like an oppressive texture on it. It is kind of hard to tell. But either way, this is a really good thing for having like a Pyre Blaster and a Pyre Cannon on your team, because if you had both of those, it'd be very hard to actually see anything, because the flame effects, while very cool, were pretty overtuned. A lot of people were complaining about this, and I think like these two fixes are pretty amazing. Glad they did this. I wasn't actually expecting them to pump this out so fast, but they sure did, so that's a great change. Next, I say fix an issue that prevented bots from entering elevators in the exfiltration operation. I have never personally encountered this, but I have had viewers tell me this was a problem for them, and I'm glad they fixed this as well, because having, your entire operation just end because the bots won't enter an elevator is like the worst feeling ever. And like, previously exfiltration also had the Trigon running away from people, so that also sucked. So exfiltration, kind of a cursed op currently. Next up, they have fixed perks dealing friendly fire damage. The only one I think that this was happening on was the Ascension perk on the signature perk tree for the assault, the one that gives you takeoff damage on your jump pack. That's not a very good perk anyways, but I have heard this was killing people in the PvE operations, and that's a pretty awful feeling. And also, if you're unaware, previously Ascension used to have another bug where it would detonate your equipment on you. So if you had like a crack grenade in your pocket and you went off with your jump pack, you would just blow up in the air. So it's kind of a cursed perk as well. I'm glad they fixed this though, even though I think Ascension should be like reworked or buffed, but this is really annoying. Next, they say fix PvP connectivity issues. I mean, I've had some serious connectivity issues yesterday in the PvE as well, but I don't really play the PvP in this game. I know a couple people that do, and this is probably great for them, but PvP connectivity issues and connectivity issues in Space Marine 2 in general have always been an issue, so glad they're still addressing these. Minor localization fixes, minor UI fixes, and the ESRB update pop-up. A pop-up will appear in the main menu to inform you of an update of the ESRB rating. This pop-up will only appear once. Okay, so they updated the ESRB in this game. That's interesting. I wonder why that is. Maybe they changed it to like, wasn't it already M? I don't know. But either way, that is all there is here for the hotfix. I think that the heroic Chainsword buff is what I'm looking forward to the most. And the fact that Camo Cloak finally got a bit of a nerf or a rework here, because Camo Cloak Cancel is a really cool ability. Sniper does feel pretty good with it, but being able to do it endlessly, like there comes a point basically where you're playing Sniper and you kind of have to intentionally not use this, because it's just so broken, and now you no longer have to do that. Now there's actually like a way to activate this and basically play around it, which is a lot healthier for the game. Having one perk combo that allows you to just become invulnerable the entire time is kind of insane, and I'm not really a big fan of that at all, so I'm glad they changed it. Maybe some people will be pretty mad about this nerf, but to be honest, most people I talked to didn't even know about the Camo Cloak cancel anyways. And the fact that it's still in the game to some extent is more than I thought they would do, because I did think they would outright nerf this. And the heroic Chainsword, I was not expecting like a major buff for this so quickly, so that's a great change. And daily stratagems having more battlefield conditions unlisted was just a horrific thing in this game, and probably the worst part about stratagems currently, especially since some of these stratagem modifiers would just remove a class from the game entirely by giving it 50% less damage, HP, and like no ability to parry, which is pretty horrific. And I'm glad that it's gone, and hopefully the one where you cannot finish the exfiltration op because there's no equipment charge is gone as well. It does kind of feel like the daily stratagems are randomized, because like there's not like a ton of thought put into them, if that's thing that is popping up there. But either way, they fixed at least the big number one issue so far. Maybe they'll address that in the future, and maybe we'll see more stratagems as well. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about the hotfix here today. There's a lot more in here than I actually expected there to be. I thought it was just going to be these fixes down below. But now the Power Wave perk is good again. I'm going to make some new Power Axe builds. And as always, if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy. Bye.